Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist, and today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Chemtrails, Sun Simulators and Stellar Cores, a Multi-Level Conspiracy. Now, chemtrails have become a part of our world. Almost every single day, people living in the United States and most other countries in the world, if they happen to look up at the sky, will see that the sky is covered with clouds that form ugly straight lines and grid patterns. And we see some of these here, a square grid pattern formed by straight line clouds. And we see in the satellite image these straight line clouds that obviously not natural. So they may also see these man-made clouds starting to form as chemtrails spraying craft across the sky. And these leave behind a double white line, which some people would like to believe is just a harmless jet contrail. However, instead of disappearing within a few minutes, these white lines spread across the sky and turn into an opaque screen covering up the sun, the blue sky, and anything else that may otherwise have been visible up there. Sometimes, however, they turn into a bluish haze, in which case the sky looks blue but not a clear blue, as the atmosphere will still contain large amounts of particulates. The sky will thus have a semblance of being clear blue, but it will be hazy. The haze does not allow clear visibility through the atmosphere, and we can see that in the difference in these two images. This is a blue chemtrail, and it spreads to make up what is a blue but hazy sky, and here is a white chemtrail which spreads to become a white straight line cloud. Now, Scott Stevens, who is a meteorologist and weatherman, believes that the chemtrail phenomenon could be a clandestine operation by the government to allow the effects of global warming through the reduction of the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth. He believes that cloud simulation by adding cloud condensation nuclei to the atmosphere is a feasible and low-cost option, capable of being used to mitigate any quantity of carbon dioxide being introduced into the atmosphere through the burning of fossil fuels. However, the planes used to spray the atmosphere would burn so much fossil fuel in order to fly the endless missions that the program would add much more carbon dioxide than the artificial cloud cover could ever hope to make up for in terms of reflected sunlight back into space. This indicates that the idea that chemtrails are supposed to help with the global warming problem is a deception. In addition, if chemtrails are being used to counteract global warming, then we would have to assume there is absolutely nothing wrong with the sun and that it is expected to continue to shine as normal in order for the global warming to continue to take place. But then why would we need a global sun simulation system? The evidence that the system exists and that it is capable of not only simulating the sun but also the moon and the other planets and is overwhelming, and I've detailed that in these articles. Article 165, Sun Simulator, Irrefutable Evidence. Article 151, the Blood Red Moon Simulator, 30,000 feet. Article 166, Sun Simulator and Lens System. Also, the amount of UVC radiation reaching the Earth's surface was measured to be 0 in 2002, whilst in 2017 and 2018 it was measured to be more than what arrives at the top of the atmosphere. And that's detailed in Article 204. Now, this indicates that the source of the UVC radiation has to be within the Earth's atmosphere. What possible source of UVC radiation could exist within the Earth's atmosphere? The only logical explanation is that a light source which emits UVC radiation is in the atmosphere. Logically, a light source attempting to simulate the sun would be the most likely candidate, as the sun emits large amounts of ultraviolet radiation. But this is filtered by the Earth's ozone layer. So the conclusion that there must be a light source imitating the sun in the Earth's atmosphere, which is therefore emitting UVC radiation, agrees with the evidence that, or other evidence, which I show here, and that is diverging lines coming from clouds. And these are beams of light that form diverging lines of light coming through holes in clouds. Now, if the sun was the source of this light, then these light beams would all be parallel to each other. The sun is at infinity. It's very far away. So whatever light comes from the sun forms parallel beams. So we would see beams that would be parallel to each other coming through these clouds if they had originated with the sun. But the fact that they diverge means that the source has to be close. It has to be in the atmosphere. If we follow the dashed lines, we see that they intersect just above the cloud cover. And this then points to the position, or the approximate position of the light source. It must be close. It must be in the Earth's atmosphere. Now, the father of the H-bomb, Edward Teller, seems to have come up with a plan to use chemtrail warfare. And he outlined a proposal in 1997 to use aircraft to scatter millions of tons of electrically conductive metallic materials in order to reduce global warming and reflect ultraviolet radiation. And it was shortly after this presentation that aircraft started spreading aerosols in the world's skies and changing them. But how can there be any global warming when the evidence is clear that the sun is getting weaker? And I've detailed that in article 118. Solar activity declining independent of the solar cycle. Is the sun dying? And the sun is also getting darker and going completely dark periodically. And this very yellow light we see here cannot possibly be coming from the sun. Or at least it's not coming from what is simulating to be the sun, which is obviously emitting white light. We see yellow light here. This is possibly the light that is actually being emitted by the sun, which is now much weaker and emitting this, possibly this dark yellow, or this could be emitted by some of the stellar cores that are in orbit around the Earth, which I'll talk about just now. So, in article 211 entitled Planet X and Sun Interaction, Sun Goes Dark on April 18, 2018, I show that the sun actually goes completely dark for short periods of time, and it did so on that day. Now, it does seem that global warming is a complete hoax, and also the fact that UVC emitting sun simulators are being used in the atmosphere makes the idea that chemtrails are supposed to decrease radiation from space, or that they are supposed to help with the collapse of Earth's ecosystems due to radiation from space, absolutely ridiculous. If the people responsible for the chemtrail spraying were concerned with radiation impacting life on Earth, they would not place UVC emitting devices within the atmosphere, which then lead to the UVC radiation level being higher at the surface than it would have been if there had been no ozone layer at all. So the reason why the sun is getting darker and weaker is the presence of the Planet X system of objects, or system of dead stars that have invaded the solar system, which I also refer to as stellar cores. And you may look at article 195 entitled Stellar Cores and the Dying Sun for more details on that. Now, these objects are attracted to the sun and can often be observed in the sun's corona. We see one of them here, as one of the smaller ones. This one is about half the size of Jupiter. A lot of them are larger than Jupiter. And it's making its connection, its plasma connection. It's drawing matter from the sun. That's how they absorb energy from the sun. These are dead stars. They are no longer able to generate enough energy in their core to operate the stars, and it affects the gravitational interaction they are able to have with other objects. And I've written about that in my previous book and in many of the articles I have written recently. Now, stellar cores make plasma connection with the sun, as you saw there, and they absorb matter from it. These objects are also attracted to the planets, and it's likely that all planets in the solar system have captured some of these. There is evidence that the Earth has captured some, as detailed in article 188, what is causing the ocean to recede all over the world. These objects start emitting light after they have absorbed a certain amount of energy from their host body, and it's likely that one of the primary goals of the chemtrail program and some simulators is to hide the presence of these objects from the Earth's population, as well as their effects on the sun and the Earth. And I detail in article 216 entitled Rainbows, Fire Rainbows, and Circumhorizon Arcs some of what is being done to produce these rainbow type effects in the sky artificially in order to hide objects that are most likely therefore to be emitting bright colors of light, and therefore these effects are supposed to hide them. So in conclusion, there seems to be a multi-level deception going on. The first line of deception seems to be denial. When that no longer works, the second line of deception is that it is in some way beneficial to the planet or to life upon it. But this is clearly not possible. Chemtrails are being used in conjunction with sun simulators. I wrote chemtrails there, but I meant sun simulators, in order to deceive the Earth's population, which is thus and yet another level of deception, and indicates that the puppet masters running this planet are conspiring against the Earth's population. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.